Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Fred Lokken joins us, professor of political science at Truckee Meadows Community College, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
2025 is bringing big changes for Nevada businesses. If you have more than 5 employees and have been operating for 3 years or more, you must now comply with new state retirement plan mandates. The Vegas Chamber 401k plan makes it easy, offering a proven, customizable, and cost-effective plan for employers and employees to save with tax advantages. Visit vegaschamber.com to explore options and see how the Vegas Chamber can help you start saving for your future.
My whole life has been public service. It's about people. And when we work together instead of yelling at each other, we get things done. We don't always get everything we want, but that's our system of government. Give and take. We don't give up. We keep working. We keep pushing. And when we break ground on Nevada's first children's hospital, when crime rates come down, and when graduation rates improve, that motivates me. That's why I do it.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Fred Lokken. He is professor of political science at Truckee Meadows Community College. Great to have you here, sir.
Thank you, Sam.
Any surprises in the election, or was it just everything that you expected?
Well, I think there are always surprises, right? I mean, you are figuring out the power of incumbency and name recognition, where the money's coming into the process, the influence of endorsements, what's the turnout going to be. And in a really charged election environment, which this one was, I think the big driver for our neck of the woods was an open seat for CD2 and an open seat for the mayor of Reno. And those became, I think, very large drivers for what was an above average turnout compared to the rest of the state.
So Eddie Lorton has become the Danny Tarkanian of Reno mayoral races, but he actually put quite a bit of money into this one this time with large billboards all over town. It just wasn't enough to get him over the edge.
Well, I think that what is always hard to learn, maybe it was hard at the time for Danny, is there's a moment where you peak and then you're never really going to draw anymore. That was your peak support, but you don't know it until you're past it. And maybe need to be reminded in a few elections, but there's currently a rather small space for Eddie, and he owns it, but he can't get that to be a larger coalition to vote.
And Danny Tarkanian admitted he got clobbered.
Yeah. Well, again, he had to come north to win, and I would think he'd be extremely happy with the life that he has in Douglas County. But there are those who really feel that their role is somewhere in politics, and so we do have these candidates in a lot of states that keep trying. It was not good for the winner of the candidate of the last election in CD2 either. Kid's campaign fell pretty flat this time.
Yes, but you know what? It was interesting. When he was on the program for the debate that we held, it seemed to me that he had given up at that point in terms not of being involved, but of being elected, because he said that his main reason for running was that he enjoyed meeting people. And I thought that was a pretty weak campaign slogan.
Well, there are other ways to do that. Probably that would have saved him $4 million the first run, but it is a way of meeting people. It certainly is.
But Teresa Benitez Thompson showed something that is very obvious to any of us that do these kind of interviews or the kind of research that you do, which is the power of incumbency in terms of knowledge and the ability to throw it out there. There is a power there that when I interview U.S. senators and Congress people who have been there a while, you have no ability to challenge them because they can come up with, well, in line 3, section C, subparagraph 4, it says. I don't care how many researchers you've got in your ear, they're not going to be able to get that information out to you quickly enough. And Teresa Benitez Thompson has that kind of knowledge of state affairs.
The political scientist in me wants knowledge to matter, experience to matter. We do know that we go through cycles where there's a disillusionment with the government of the day and a real desire to see fresh thinking, fresh ideas. But then that usually leads to disappointment because they lack the experience. They can't get everybody to march in the same direction. They can't accomplish what they had promised. And so it's a real dilemma for the American voter because it's kind of a love-hate. Now, Settlemyre did not seem to benefit as much as I think he should have based on his experience. On the other hand, last-minute presidential endorsement does matter. A lot of money being poured into the district from outside the state does matter. But it's my understanding Mr. Flippo moved to Reno a few days after the resignation, or the announced end of Amadei's run in the Senate or the House. And so basically he's a carpetbagger of northern Nevada, and I'm waiting for voters to find that out. And I think the fall election is a very different election from the primary election. And the campaign that he ran and the issues he ran on have less relevance in November.
Yes, that was an extraordinary situation. And one has to think that the preparations for the battle in CD4, which is where he was going to run originally against Congressman Horsford, was already in place. And when they decided to switch and run for CD2, which was a major surprise, if not a shock to a lot of us, it was already in place and in play. I'm presuming.
I presume it is, and I always tried the parties for not doing a better job of controlling what's going on, but timing matters too. The Amadei timing for his announcement it adds a flavor to that whole CD2 race. Apparently, nobody really knew that he was going to make the announcement that late.
I talked to people in his office the day that the announcement came out, and they were in shock.
Yep. And usually the courtesy to the party is to give them as much of a heads up. So much of this could have gone on behind the scenes. But I'm sure he had his reasons for doing it the way that it's happened. I think that Teresa, back to her campaign, that people were voting for Kit just because finally they had an alternative that has been seen as such a Republican seat. No Democrat would, if they ran, they never were funded. They couldn't get any support. There's only one race that ever even came close. And so I think they were just happy to see what they judged as a viable candidate from the Democratic Party running. Kit had never made that real commitment to the Democratic Party, and has seemingly a different past in California. But it really, in her case, I think it really demonstrates her ability to get a campaign together and the power of her name recognition. And I think they're feeling really good about the fall campaign.
All right, but then the question comes up, which is money. Is either candidate able to raise a ton of money? It appears that David Flippo will be able to raise money and from outside, which we would expect. It's rare that the majority of the money comes from inside the state these days. But will the Democrats look at this as a possibility, considering the history of this seat, to put in significant funds into her campaign?
Well, money, I'm hoping it does. I mean, they have a real opportunity. I think that they have a better chance of flipping the House. And this could be an unexpected seat that's going to come up that will make up for one of the seats they thought they were going to win that they'll lose. But the other reality is that, we in Nevada, money does not necessarily buy the election. We can certainly talk to Laxalt about that. We could talk to Brown about that. They way out.
We can talk to John Connolly from the grave about that.
I think voters want to start knowing where this money is really coming from. A lot of it's so dark. Our whole campaign process has become almost sinister.
But do you think that the actual average member of the public cares about the phrase dark money. I mean,
They don't know what it is.
no, they have no idea.
The ignorance of our political process, or that that would somehow be legal, right? You can pour unknown amounts of money donated by unknown people, basically spent probably in full coordination, because it's not in the light of day. You don't know. It has transformed politics in America. It has made it, outwardly dirty because we don't know anything about it. I think a growing number of informed voters are getting tired of the amount of money. I always complain about negative advertising. I had a campaign manager tell me, well, the day it stops working is the day we'll stop using it, But I understand. But I hope voters just take a real hate to that kind of thing, because none of that should matter.
Well, perhaps none of it should matter, but it does. I think that the way that candidates deal with it and campaigns deal with it is the real issue. I think, and this is a poor example today because of his huge loss to Nicole Cannizzaro, but Zach Conine in his last election ran a humorous campaign where he got past the attacks and just moved on. And I think that if I will never run for office, but if I were going to run for office, I would run a positive campaign. And if somebody was attacking me, I would say at the beginning of my commercial, really, is that the best you've got? Now let's talk about the issues and move on. And they don't tend to do that. They come back with more negative advertising, but that's all the public is exposed to.
And in Nevada, it's in extreme amounts. I mean, we have been such a spotlight in America, and the money coming into the state is phenomenal. It rivals any money they can raise in the state.
It's funny. I was in D.C. after Steve Sisolak lost his re-election bid for governor, and I was talking to some Democratic operatives in D.C. who are responsible for literally billions of dollars of money around the country. And I said I was surprised because he had raised at that time $15 million, which was a huge amount of money, I thought, for Nevada. And they looked at me and smiled and said, Sam, in Nevada, $15 million in the governor's race is nothing. It's stunning.
It is. Well, the volume that you have to, look at even now Governor Lombardo's ability to saturate the airwaves, in my view, and they're still coming. Maybe they'll settle down for July and August. That was a big question. Won't they go away and come back? But I don't know if they've got the money. I think they just keep the message going. Whether people are paying attention to those messages is the big question.
Well, I think, though, that there's a subliminal portion to that, which is if you continue to mention the name, you are going to get a response because people recognize that name, because so many voters are low information voters that they're looking at the ballot, they have no idea who the people are, and they see a name they recognize and they go for it. For example, Zach Conine or his PAC ran an ad against Nicole Cannizzaro where they mentioned her name about 10 times in the ad. It was a total attack ad. But what I kept hearing was Nicole Cannizzaro, Nicole Cannizzaro, Nicole Cannizzaro. Well, I think that when people went to the polls, they couldn't remember what the heck the ads were about, but they just remembered that name. Oh, yeah, that's, I think, who I'm going to vote for. I swear, I think that's that whole deal.
No, that's the power of a campaign sign, right? If they see it 7 times, they're more likely to remember it. And so on the airwaves, I agree with, I know the ad you're talking about, and you didn't know who it was, who the attacker was. That wasn't being mentioned. It was just really giving a lot of spotlight to the other candidate.
Yes, I'm all right with if you mention the person's name 1 time, but not 10 times, and that seemed like it was in that particular ad. Greg Kidd made a classic mistake in his first campaign for CD2 by running as an independent. And I talked to a number of Democrats who said to me prior to the election, because I'm sure a lot of people come to you before an election and look for advice, not necessarily for you to lean them one direction or another, but just general advice. And they came to me and said, where's the Democrat in this race? And I said, there isn't one. And there's an independent running. Oh, okay. Well, Mark Amadei's been around a long time. You like him? I said, well, I've been friends with him for a long time, but that's not necessarily whether you should vote for him or not. Oh, well, but he got those votes because there wasn't a D behind Greg Kidd's name. This time he ran with a D, but he didn't promote it in his billboards. You didn't see a giant D. That was very weird.
Well, and the Democrats were confused. Some of them certainly voted for him in the first round. Now suddenly the D appears in the second round, but also other candidates that are Democrats, have been well known as Democrats for a long time. I think it was nice to see that kind of engagement for the Democrats. They've wanted to participate in CD2 for a long time, and they just usually have not had a candidate or a candidate that's financed so they can get around and talk about it. It's a difficult district because, you do have the rural areas that you do those issues. A lot of people, unless you really grow up in those areas, don't fully understand the hardships that there are out there economically and socially. But you get someone, again, like Teresa, she brings all that experience in the legislature. She's been in the Attorney General's office for the last 8 years. She's really up and fresh and is vertically very well informed on the issues. And then she's got that spark and personality. That's always been her strength. I mean, from her Miss Nevada days, she's just a likable person. I think that's going to be a powerhouse combination in CD2.
It's going to be an interesting one. So many new people have moved to Nevada. Since she was Miss Nevada all those years ago, I interviewed her at the time when she was Miss Nevada. And people should realize that those pageants are really a way for people to gain scholarships, and some of the smartest people on the planet enter those pageants. Right. And not to be fooled by the glamour portion of this. These are some very smart women. But it's going to be a proving ground for Washoe County as the swing county and the swing state to see how this plays out. And do you end up seeing a repeat of 2014 going the other direction, where the Republicans got in and the Democrats were not the ones that were successful? Crescent Hardy being one of the examples of that, where you could see Teresa Benitez, Thompson get in, but it might be a 2-year run.
Well, the advice to every Democrat, even for Republicans, is a moderate agenda for the fall, and a common sense agenda. And I'm anticipating that will be there for Teresa. I think Flippo has a bigger challenge because he went way over, and that appeals to some base. The MEGA is still obviously a factor in the CD2, but it gets diluted in the November election, and it's who's going to show up. And I think it's going to be a more moderate Republican looking for more moderate solutions.
Okay, you're talking about Flippo becoming more moderate.
He's going to have to try.
He's going to have to be.
Yeah, but I don't know that he's got a problem then, because then all you have to do is remind everybody of his ads for the primary and remind everyone of the Trump endorsement.
Right. But then you come back to the same thing, which I said earlier, which is, does the Democratic Party nationally decide that this race is winnable and put the money in to be able to make those claims? Let's take a break. We'll come back more with Fred Lokken after this time out.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation,
Our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. Our community is our foundation. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Fred Lokken. He is professor of political science at Truckee Meadows Community College. Do you buy polls anymore? And I mean, do you buy them in terms of believing them?
No, not at all. In fact,
good. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. And I tell my students, I mean, it's just, it at its best told you at a moment in time what people were thinking. That could have changed because of events 5 minutes later. And so you always had to be guarded up. You know, the poll plus and minus game, I always seen as a charade. But I really don't like polls being announced up until Election Day. I love the democracies that shut them down because they all, you should never use a poll to influence how you're going to vote, but that's exactly what it does. So that there's really no good, you know, the democracy survived for most of its time not knowing these things. I think you're a better democracy to wait for the surprise of the election results and not have somebody forecasting it.
Well, I mean, you know, if it was an accurate guide, that could be very useful. And, you know, if you kept it private, which a lot of, you know, polling is done, our private polls that we never see. But the instance of Albert Mack, who ran for Clark County Commission, he put in $500,000 of his own money. He raised $500,000 from associates who wanted to support him. He had 3 polls that told him that he was way ahead. The opposite campaign said, congratulations, and he lost. I think it's the perfect example of what are we doing here?
Well,
who's answering these polls?
2016, Hillary Clinton, 118 polls, 116 of them wrong, right? I mean, wow. Everybody was so confident that somebody by the name of Donald Trump was not going to walk into the presidency. And he actually won with some comfort. And that's it. And the deep polling is generally, I think, the most reliable, very expensive. Campaigns that can afford it do it and have, I think, a general sense. But it's going to be triggered by turnout. In Nevada, we had a change. We used to have such a poor voter turnout. Now we're about 26th in the nation. And what's really nice is that mail-in balloting has actually brought, that's now 60% or nearly 70% of those who vote. That's bringing now a new life into the turnout. Is the polling measuring that? Because again, you don't know how these are conducted. We don't have a polling solution in Nevada. I've pitched for years trying to get the system to get into the business of doing polls because it'd be nice for us to have data and to do it right and to couch it the way that we need to. But that just never catches fire. And so many of these polls, how did they conduct them in Nevada?
Yeah, let's take another break and we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Welcome to the Ahern Hotel, where bold ambition meets unforgettable experiences. Feel your game day vibes and celebrate with great food at All American Sports Kitchen, serving amazing flavors and fan favorites. Sip and savor at Aroma Barista Bar. Handcrafted coffee roasted to perfection. Step into the Ahern Live showroom, where concerts, comedy, and unforgettable performances light up the night. We also have the David Yule Art Gallery. It's the only one in the world, and his work is breathtaking. Browse the gift shop. It's a treasure trove of keepsakes, chic essentials, and one-of-a-kind finds. And the space. Almost 30,000 square feet of meetings and events areas ready for you. From weddings and birthdays to quinceañeras, trade shows, banquets, and beauty pageants. Bigger ideas? Let the Ahern team handle all the details so your event is flawless. Ahern Hotel, where moments become memories. Book your next gathering today.
We're the Peters family, 2 combat veterans, our daughter Elle, and our Liberty Dogs puppy in training, Cooper. Cooper will grow up to be a life-changing companion to a veteran with visible or invisible challenges.
We're helping Cooper build focus and confidence so he's ready to support his veteran.
And we know he will help bring happiness and independence to his veteran's life.
So join us, become a puppy raiser, and change lives, one puppy at a time.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, finishing up here with Fred Lokken, Professor of Political Science at Truckee Meadows Community College. A quick answer to a complicated question, which is, why can't we back time the election so that on election night we can actually have a result or pretty darn close to it, that maybe we wait till the morning, but make sure that all the votes are in. If you want to vote by mail, if you're in the military, whatever it might be, if election day is the first, whatever, then everything has to be done by 7 o'clock on election day, and let's get a result.
Yeah. We can do it. We can learn from other states that have figured it out and are doing it better than we are. And I think we should.
We have a team going here. All right, that's it. Fred Lokken, thank you always. And we'll be right back.
Stack up the wins during Carson Valley Inn's Summer Toys and Big Cash giveaways. Cash drops every Thursday and Saturday with over 450 winners. Plus, win a new side-by-side or $12,000 in cash at each event. Free wheels, free play, and bigger thrills. Only at Carson Valley Inn.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
You're in trouble with the law. It's easy to think you'll lose everything, but there is hope. I'm attorney Orrin Johnson. Your first step is to hire a serious attorney with the experience to successfully navigate the legal system for you.
Sometimes hope means addiction treatment instead of jail, and making sure you're treated fairly.
Sometimes hope means fearless trial attorneys will stand up to the government when they get it wrong. Call or text Orrin Johnson Law.
We'll make a plan.
You'll take back your life.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
Nevada Newsmakers is available as a podcast. It's also available on YouTube anytime you want to watch or listen. Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers.